Now, picture this, y'all. You're driving a lonely Kentucky back road after midnight. No cell service, no houses, just black woods pressing in on both sides. Up ahead, a pale shape moves between the trees, too tall to be a deer, too thin to be a man. Behind you, something huge lets out a howl that don't sound like any coyote God ever made. And out on the water, something long and dark rolls just beneath the surface, keeping pace with your headlights. Out here in the hollers and caves of Kentucky, folks don't just tell ghost stories. They still see things. Tonight, we're talking about the ones people wish were just stories. The hellhound of Pike County, the White Golem that crawled out of the caves, the Clay County Woods Giant, the Ridgetop Lantern Man, and the thing that stirs beneath Mammoth Cave. You're listening to Kentucky Melody, where Appalachian folklore, dark history, and haunted truth meet in the hollers of the Bluegrass. Lock your doors, kill the lights. Let's talk about 5 creatures that still haunt the hills of Kentucky. If you ever find yourself in the backwoods of Pike County after sundown, you might hear something folks around here been whispering about since before World War II. A sound that'll turn your blood cold and make your heart thump like a church drum on Sunday morning. They call it the Pike County Howler, or, if you want to get real old-timers fired up, the Kentucky Hellhound. The story goes back to the 1930s, when moonshiners were running their stills deep in them hollers, trying to stay hid from revenuers. One by one, they started claiming something big was moving through the woods at night. A massive blue-black canine, 5 to 7 feet long, weighing near half a ton, with fur that bristled up its back like a porcupine ready to fight. Some said its eyes glowed like a coal fire in the dark. Others swore its howl weren't something any natural animal could make. More like a scream, a roar, and a whistle all mashed into one. In 1939, so many fellas in the mountains said they'd seen it that the men at the general store joked about putting a bounty on its head. And sure enough, local folklore says a $20 reward was posted for anyone who could bring that monster down. One moonshiner even bragged that he shot and killed it, dumped the body somewhere he didn't care to share. Problem is, nobody saw the beast he claimed he felled. And the howls, they didn't stop. Over the decades, the howler only got bolder. Farmers across Pike County kept finding cows and calves mauled, backs ripped open with claw marks big as a man's hand. One family swore they heard something heavy walking around inside their barn. Not outside, inside, among their livestock. When the farmer ran out with his rifle, he saw a shadow leap clean over a feeding trough and disappear into the tree line. He fired 3 shots at it, watching the hulking shape crash through brush like a boulder tumbling downhill. And it gets worse. Folks say this creature ain't got much fear humans anymore. It'll come right onto porches, leave muddy paw prints big as pie plates, and howl so close to people's windows that it rattles the glass. That's why the old bounties supposedly rose to $200 by the 40s, a price some locals claim still stands to this day. Some folks say the whole legend started as moonshiner mischief, a story to scare nosy strangers away from hidden stills. But, folks, when night falls over Pike County and that long, mournful howl rolls through the holler like a freight train, most people tell you real quiet like, "Son, no man made that story. Something out there made it for us." Ron County's full of caves, sinkholes, and old mining cuts, places where daylight don't reach and sound travels in ways it just ain't supposed to. For years, people round Moorhead whispered rumors of pale things living under the hills, but in the summer of 2022, one of them crawled right up into somebody's backyard. A security camera caught it, a hairless, chalk-white humanoid, all elbows and knees creeping low to the ground like it had too many joints in its body. It stalked near a parked car, its long fingers lightly tapping the gravel, its head twitching like it was sniffing for something. The clip lasted only 33 seconds, but in that half-minute, millions of people watched the White Golem, a creature with no color in its face, no expression, and no movement that matched anything human. Some folks tried to write it off. Bad video compression, a prank, a sick coyote is standing wrong. But others, folks who know these woods, they didn't laugh. They said it looked just like the crawlers people claimed to see darting through the Daniel Boone National Forest at night. Pale things, cave things. In the days after that video went viral, people posted their own sightings. A ghost white thing ran across the road near my headlights. Something was watching me from the tree line. Tall, thin, white as flour. It screamed, high and sharp like metal being bent. And that's when the old cave stories resurfaced. Tales of subterranean beings that live deep in the limestone veins under these mountains. Creatures that rarely come up unless something drives them to it. Hunger, fear, or changes underground. To this day, no one's found where that creature went after it vanished behind the garage. No tracks, no hair, nothing. Just a video and a whole lot of people who refused to walk outside after dark near Moorhead, whispering, whatever that white golem was, it weren't walking on the Lord's side of creation. Clay County sits in the heart of the Appalachians, where the pine thickets grow so tight, even sunlight has to squeeze its way through. Folks out there have talked for generations about something huge moving across the ridges. A woods giant, tall as a doorway and wide as a bull. One of the clearest sightings happened in June of 2007. Two men were riding ATVs through a swamp outside Manchester when they heard a sound that near knocked the wind out of them. A deep, rumbling roar, so loud it made the mud vibrate beneath their boots. Then, through the cattails, their spotlight caught a pair of eyes. Yellow, reflective, unblinking. The creature stepped into view, an 8-foot-tall, dark brown giant, standing upright in water up to its shins. Its arms were long and thick like tree limbs, its shoulders hunched forward, its chest swaying with slow breaths. The witness, a big man himself, over 6'6", said the woods giant would have made me look like a child. When the light hit his face, the creature didn't flinch. It just watched them, calm, like it had seen men before and wasn't impressed. Then, in one motion, it turned and waded away without making a single splash. For decades, people in Clay County have reported whoops, whistles, heavy footfalls, the smell of rotten greens, and rocks thrown from nowhere. Chicken coops raided, gardens torn up, branches snapped 10 feet high. Plenty of folks don't call it a monster, just something that's always been here. Whether Bigfoot, Yahoo, or the woods giant, one thing's certain. Clay County ain't empty after dark. There's something big prowling them ridges, and it sure ain't shy no more. Travel the back roads of Kentucky long enough and you'll hear the same tale told 100 different ways. But they all end the same. A lone ridge, a dark night, and a lantern glow that ain't carried by any living person. In the hills of Scott and Campbell counties, folks call this phantom the Ridgetop Lantern Man. Travelers say they see a warm, yellow light bobbing ahead of them, always just a little too far to make out who's carrying it. Sometimes it sways side to side, gentle as someone walking with a lantern. Sometimes it speeds up. Sometimes it stops dead still. And when you walk toward it, it don't move away. It waits. One fella from Sadieville said the Lantern Man copied his steps. Left when he stepped left, right when he stepped right, keeping a perfect distance like it was mocking him. Another couple, hiking near dusk, claimed the light came up behind them. So close they heard a whisper right at their necks before the lantern winked out like someone pinching a flame. Old miners say it's the spirit of a man wandering the ridges, searching forever for kin lost in a cave-in. Others claim it's no ghost at all, just a lure, something dark that wants you to follow it someplace you shouldn't. Call it swamp gas, marsh lights, miner ghosts, or Appalachian tricksters. But if you're driving a lonely ridge road and a lantern starts floating along beside you, don't stop. Whatever's holding that light ain't walking on 2 feet no more. Mammoth Cave is the largest cave system on Earth, and most of it still ain't mapped. Thousands of dark passageways stretch out under Kentucky like a hidden world, and some folks believe something lives down there that ain't never seen sunlight. But the first sightings didn't come from the caves. They came from the Green River back in the 1940s. In December of 1941, fisherman J.J. Potter reported seeing a long serpentine creature rise from the river west of Cave City. He said it was as thick as a man's waist and moved like it was all muscle, churning the water before slipping under with a thunderous splash. Skeptics called it nonsense until the reports kept coming. By 1959, a man named Arnold Clark swore he saw a beast as long as a John boat, dark gray, with a hunched back gliding just beneath the surface. Soon enough, crowds lined the riverbanks, rifles and cameras in hand, hoping to catch sight of what newspapers dubbed the Green River Monster. Then came the underground rumors. Miners in Edmonson County recalled hearing roars echoing out of flooded shafts, vibrations like something big moving under the earth. Cave gods talked of unexplored lakes and bottomless pits where sunlight had never touched. Some claimed to see shadows moving under the water in river tunnels, too large to be fish, too smooth to be debris. Was it an oversized catfish, an ancient salamander, something prehistoric that survived in the dark? Whatever it was, no one ever caught it. And every few years, someone on a midnight paddle claims to see something long and dark glide beneath their canoe, leaving a ripple that ain't natural. Park rangers like to joke, keep your hands in the boat, unless you want to feed whatever's living down there. And they laugh when they say it, but you'll notice they never take their eyes off that black, still water when they do. Now, before we head back out of these dark hollers, I want to hear from you. Which one of these creatures do you reckon is lurking closest to your hometown? Have you ever heard a howl in the hills, seen a lantern moving where no person ought to be, or felt something watching you from the tree line? Drop your story or your best guess down in the comments. Who knows? Your tale might end up in a future episode. And if you're new round here, go on and subscribe to Kentucky Melody. We've got more Kentucky legends, Appalachian hauntings, and real encounters coming every single week. Hit that like button, ring that holler bell, and join our growing family of backwoods believers. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ridges, and if something starts moving in the dark, don't go looking for it. We'll see y'all in the next one.